It's Rick of the Paranormal Ghost Society. I've been wanting to visit this place for 3 years. This is Rainbow Ridge Park. But the canyon you see is people often call Robb Canyon. And there's a creek that flows through the middle of it. But let me give you a little bit of history or a down low about this place. At least from what I remember is in the 1970s, 3 male transients and 1 female transient was found buried here. All these houses you see are new. In the 70s, this was all high desert. There was nobody back here. They may have had the expressway maybe cut through straight ahead, but that was it. And so they found 3 bodies within the park, 4 bodies actually. There's rumored to be a 5th that hung himself from a tree. There was a giant cottonwood in the middle of the canyon. And because there was hundreds of kids coming up here saying, oh, the tree's haunted, and there was cult activity, they cut the tree down because there was too many people coming up here partying and drinking at the tree. But this is one of these odd places in Reno, and I decided to do it during the day. I'll come here at night to get EVPs. Let me try to get into the history more in depth of the place, because there's a lot of history to this little canyon. It's not just known for its bodies that have been found here. Yeah, reality TV did a show about this. Yes, there's been ghost hunters from Georgia, New Jersey, Oregon, Arizona, Nevada, California, and pretty much all over the country came out here to prove if this place was haunted or not. I guess if I get some EVPs from the spirits, then it would mean it was haunted, correct? Maybe the spirits are trying to tell everybody who murdered them. There was a serial killer going around killing transients, and they were buried somewhere in this canyon. I don't know where, but it's heavily overgrown. It appears to go for a couple miles. The park came later, obviously along with all these new homes. It was also used by 3 Washoe and Paiute tribe, and they would come up here. I guess this was a hunting route. They would take this canyon into the Peavine Mountains where there was herds of deer and wildlife, which obviously during hunting season the Washoe would do a lot of collecting of berries, pine nuts, and most of all fish and deer, so that way they could stock up for the cooler months that would hit the Reno and the Sierras. There was actually a ghost town that was up there, which we'll get into in a little bit, but basically they'd go in the foothills of the Peavine Mountains and hunt for the game, hunt for the deer, because they would migrate north and south of the Truckee River, which you definitely hit the Truckee River if you continued in this canyon up over the Peavine Mountains. And where there's a river, there's usually meadows, there's usually deer. You can see a lot of the water. It's all gunked up down there. See if I can zoom in. Very muddy. It's drying up. Also in this canyon, or further up it, at least in the mountains, mining did take place. They actually had a mining district. And if you were to go on the other side of the mountain straight ahead, you really can't see it because it's so bright. But if you were to take the canyon and go up over those mountains right there, over the hillside, there was the ghost town of Poville. And the last legend about this place, besides the strange things such as ghost lights, objects being thrown, blood-curdling screams, there's a tree right there. But besides those things that go on, it has generations of Paiute and Washoe Native Americans that are said to be buried somewhere in this canyon. We'll never know where because the graves are not marked. And obviously, this canyon goes up into the Peavine Mountains. However, if you were to hike up into the Peavine Mountains, and Robb Canyon being the main canyon that goes up through them, you would probably find some remnants of mining, such as TNT canisters. This was an important canyon. Generally, cattle herders or sheep herders, they would use the canyon to bring their livestock up into the Peavine Mountains in the warmer months. If you hike here and you continue to hike up the canyon, you'll find arrowheads. One guy I read found a gold pocket watch in the canyon from the 1873. So this is an old canyon. Before all these houses around here were built, this was very rural at one time. There's also a Peavine mining site known as the Brooklyn mine. That's where this person found a gold pocket watch. Also, this area is known. There was a series of many years, even still today, that tremors and earthquakes hit this little region in here. I guess there's a fault line nearby. The early ranchers in the 1800s, they would move their livestock between Poville and Reno. You have to understand that Reno started off just like any wild western town. Historic, small, couple hundred residents, and then the saloons went up. The mining began on the outskirts of Reno, like the Peavine mining district, and canyons like these were used as trade and travel routes. And today, this is what remains of the canyon. We're going to do just the lower part of the canyon, but if I decide to go up into the Peavine Mountains, because there's a road you can take up to those mountains. Maybe this spring, Tammy and I will come back and we'll do some hiking the higher parts of Robb Canyon. I believe you can drive up there. And if we can drive up there, we'll do it. We'll go and we'll take a gander and see if we can find any of the mining remnants back in the 1870s that were erected up in the Peavine Mountains. Hell, we might even find remnants of the ghost town of Poville. But I'm going to have to do some research. Right now, my only focus is this canyon right here that we are standing in. It's said to be haunted, said to contain ghosts. As you can see, the canyon, it's heavily overgrown with sagebrush. There's a metal box. What the heck is this over here? Whoa. There we go. Mysteries of the murdered transients has been unsolved. Obviously, the transients used to stay in Robb Canyon because it was out of the city by a couple miles. So they used to camp down in the canyon. Today, this nature park, well, not there so much during the day, but a lot of people. I mean, there are websites. There's at least 30 websites about this place, and all of them have either gotten EVPs, strange photos, witnessed strange lights, but mainly a lot of the activity seems to happen at night. So what my hope is to do some EVPs here and see if we can get some EVP activity during the day. If it's haunted at night, then during the day it should be equally haunted. But for many generations, the Native Americans used it as a trade route, and they'd go up the canyon into the Peavine Mountains straight ahead, up and over, and along the Truckee River and hunt for deer and other wild animals and wildlife. And then just like the ranchers, they would use this to bring their pack animals through before this was a paved biking trail. It's not a very big hike or big canyon. Like I said, you could probably take the dirt road and go up exploring the Peavine Mountains, but today was not the day to do it. I'm kind of strapped for time because we have other things on our schedule, including Franktown Cemetery. If we plan a well-executed hiking trip here, we could actually go up into the mountains you see straight ahead, which to you might look small, but those peaks that you see straight ahead, those peaks are 9,000 feet. These are not small mountains by any means. Don't think just because right now we're in an area that's, seems like it's just full of new houses and looks like a small little canyon is, because it's not. But yeah, this is pretty amazing right here. Looks like the trail's going to be ending up here. Wow. Another thing that, besides the history, it just proves that the Washoe and the Paiute were on pretty good terms here. I don't think that the Washoe agreed with the Paiute wars, but as you can see from where we're standing, this is the Robb Canyon continues. And what it does is it makes a right and it goes under the bridge and it goes up into the mountains that you see straight ahead. Actually, let me see if I can zoom in and I'll show you. It's up into the Peavine Hills, Peavine Mountains. Yeah, if you were to take that in between the canyon, the road back in there, you could definitely hit some mining districts and even remnants of the ghost town. It's rather a very different world back in there, because once you go around the foothills, you start hitting national forests. But this is the lower part of the canyon, and eventually it does ascend between the mountains. It starts down here, and so it is very important we start off our expedition, or at least our first opening to Robb Canyon, at the park, because this seems to be where most of the activity is, not up in the mountains. But again, there could be something strange found here. Hey, I was going to take a picture of both of us. I can use the rocks. This is Lord Rick. Check out our site, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. This is Robb Canyon, one of the most famous haunted places at Rainbow Ridge Park in Reno, Nevada. And there's another haunted house in Reno that we might be doing eventually that I found out was built in the 1800s. So Reno does have a haunted history. But as I said before, you go up into the Peavine Mountains. And see that canyon? Once again, that's the canyon we'll probably hike in eventually. Right there. Look at that. There's a road that goes right in between. But if you go up in there, there's mining districts in history. And supposedly they're at the bottom of the canyon. I can't tell you where the Indian burial ground is because I don't know. But it's either somewhere in here where the canyon starts, or it's up straight ahead in those mountains, in the Peavine Mountains. Either way, this is a very ancient site. This canyon alone dates back to human inhabitants to 2,000 to 8,000 years ago. And then the mining came, and then you have the time where the transients in the 70s and the hippies came to live back here, and they lived in the canyon scattered all over, and some of them met a very ill fate. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, if you think I'm lying about the locals having superstition about this place being haunted, someone went through the trouble to write haunted. And you can see there's the playground right there, and probably a lot of these residents and children have no idea that 4 people were found buried and murdered here. But there has been serial killers in Reno in our history, and I just wanted to add that on in. This is basically the main area ghost hunters will investigate, is along this trail and along the canyon and the park sometimes, and it's very small. It's not even a full mile in length, but no less, we came here, and you can see the cars keep going down the highway, and meanwhile this place holds its secrets quite well. There's another segment of our video. Of course, I'll put them all together, because that's what I try to do now. When I make separate videos, I'll join them and let you guys get a better look. There's someone catching snakes up on the hill. But this is actually Chalk Creek. And it's trickling, which is a tributary off the Truckee River. You see, the Truckee River flows through Reno. But if you go northwest, you can hit the Peavine Mountains. Up in there is where it was a good area at one time for gathering of deer by mass amounts for the village. And then the city grew and the deer kind of moved up into the mountains. And where that canyon, as I showed you earlier, that's where they're all at now. That's all whatever's left of Poville and the Brooklyn and the Peavine mining district might reside today, rusting away, but the wildlife is abundant up there, up in those mountains, not so much down in the park here at Robb Canyon. Yeah, like I said, it's a very famous place, so this is a place you definitely want to work with if you can. Chalk Creek, thousands of years old, and it still flows today. Wow. This is our truck back through Robb Canyon. There's an old power box below. There's a lot of people walking dogs. All these stories about people getting hit and pushed and attacked and seeing lights and mist and all these things. It's just, I could see getting a few residual EVPs, or I could see a ghost passing through. I mean, this place could be up to 10,000 years old. This will take you out in the Peavine Mountains. And like I say, it was a food source for the early people of Reno, for the early Washoe and Paiute. Technically, you could go up into the Toyabe National Forest. You could cross on over those mountains and be north of Lake Tahoe, because Lake Tahoe does run, not on the other side, but if you were to stand on those peaks, you could see Lake Tahoe quite easy. Here's one of the trees that was cut. I don't know which one because there's no stump left behind, but here's a group of trees. Everything is very green. There's flowers growing. There's a lot more wildlife here, so I don't really have a wildlife album for this. I tried to get a rabbit on film and that thing just booked. It is the middle of winter. At least there's no snow here or anything like that, and you can kind of see what it looks like. You got homes on every end. If this is a haunted site, I have yet to see it, but when I come home and I listen to my EVPs, if I got a ghostly voice, it's a voice that's other than Tammy's or my own saying, get the hell away, or something hostile, or even just something, I could declare the place haunted. But until then, all I see is just a nice hiking trail, a lot of kids playing on the monkey bars, and it's a beautiful 60-degree day almost, so why wouldn't you be at the park or wandering the bike trails in Reno? Reno's very bike friendly and equestrian hiking friendly. A lot of little dirt paths like this one. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, I got a reading. The EMF detector went up to about a 3.5 to a 4 or 5. This was right before after I did an EVP session. But I asked, who are you? How were you murdered? If you were homeless. And then I proceeded to hit the EMF detector and got a reading, about a mid-grade reading. I don't know, it's gone. I wish it would come back so I could show you. Come on, don't be shy. Yeah, it's down. But we just got readings. I turned on the camera and the readings went away, but we did have readings of about a 4 on the EMF. So maybe there is something here we can't see. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it could have just been a freak EMF that my body was giving away. Who knows, right? But we're here to solve mysteries and unsolve them too. And that's what we do best. We're hiking out of the canyon. You can see the creek, Chalk Creek, still flows. There's a lot of brush that grows down here because this is a water source. This is a high desert that's very lush in the spring. Maybe between these people's backyards, maybe there is something ghostly. But as I was telling Tammy, a lot of people ride their bikes. There's a lot of kids spray painting, smoking doobs, drinking, partying at the park, looking for ghosts. And people scream, and people have heard blood-curdling screams, and it could be ghostly. Or it might just be a group of 3-4 BMXers, 10, 12 years old, just going down this hill, screaming the whole way down. Who knows? We're about to leave. Our parking spot's up ahead, and this is where Robb Canyon kind of starts. It's the starting point of it all. Is it haunted? That remains to be determined. We will come back sometime at night, and we'll tell you if anything changes from day to night. It might be more active at night. Who knows? But all I've seen are birds and jackrabbits and a lot of dead brush. Wow, and a creek that's running so dry that it's covered in a thick green ooze of algae. One more thing I want to point out before we head out of the canyon. You see all that white film? That's salt, which means that part of maybe ancient Lake Lahontan may have actually doused this canyon underwater at one given time in history. And today, what's left is patches of white sand. You'll find it throughout Nevada where the ancient sea has been. Not all over Nevada. After all, Carson City was on a peninsula on the edge of an ocean for millions of years. and that never went underwater. But there are parts here that have, including a portion of this canyon and park here in Reno, Nevada. It's around 5,000 feet. There's a magpie. Just want to show you. Here's a close-up of the salt. I see these when we go to salt flats, it's all a white powdery salt. And it's possible this could be because the creek overflowed and so the salt was carried downstream. Maybe this wasn't underwater, who knows? But you'll find salt flats and things around here. And I just wanted to kind of show you, I'm standing actually in the middle of the creek. It's very muddy. You can see how deep my feet sank right here. I'm gonna have to go straight up through the brush. It's the only way it's gonna save me from the mud, but you can see the creek it flows out from under the road because the canyon continues on the other side for a little bit through this tunnel. So last little tidbit before we head out of here, we've walked most of the canyon's length, but if we really want to check out the canyon, a more secluded area where it's far away from the park, we'd have to go up into the Peavine Mountains or foothills straight ahead and go explore for mining remnants and maybe that burial ground where we could possibly get EVPs or maybe see something strange, because in my opinion we're a little bit too close to the city. I mean, we have houses all around us. It makes it hard to do a legit paranormal investigation. Of course, there's no people here. If I get a voice on my EMF or the EMF goes up to like 5 or 6, there's a good chance that this canyon could contain some sort of unseen energy. And those are my final thoughts about Robb Canyon in Reno, Nevada. Peace. Our next stop will be Franktown Cemetery, one of the last remnants of the ghost town of Franktown. And I hope I get good results there. If not, the views are certainly pretty of the Carson Range and the National Forest. And we'll be back with more film and footage shortly. Peace out, man. Peace out.